Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Do you have to respond to Iran on this?
And that was U.S. President Donald J. Trump this morning departing the White House. I concur, by the way, Mr. President, with your sentiments with regard to Israel and Iran, both parties. But here is where we are currently. It's Tuesday afternoon before I finally got back here into my little studio to shoot a video. It's a little bit after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I suppose. And we're kind of in a state of flux, you know. If we're going to comment on the hostilities in the Middle East, by the time I shoot a video, things change, sometimes dramatically, and I'm having to keep up. But that's okay. I don't mind. But as I speak now, of course, if you're keeping up, as you know by this point, we've had a ceasefire between Iran and Israel, and that is a good thing. Now, in my last video, I was talking about, you know, what was happening over there and our involvement in same, and I really took Donald Trump to task, and I don't apologize for any of that, folks, but, you know, there was this dividing line of sorts among Trump supporters. That would be the anti-war Trump supporters, of which I am one, and the neocons like Mark Levin, Laura Loomer, Lindsey Graham, and most people that are in Congress who only want perpetual war, which is why they didn't initially support Donald Trump, because he came off as sounding like an anti-war candidate. But here, as of late, it's been the exact opposite. But to his credit, now I strive to be objective and fair, and Trump was obviously, and his State Department was obviously working behind the scenes to get a ceasefire established between Iran and Israel, and I applaud that, and I give the president credit. I give him credit where credit is due. I got hot in the last video with regard to Trump's tweets or his post on Truth Social about Thomas Massie. I'm going to get to that here. I got more to say about that here in a few minutes. But let's get up to speed. This is in a state of perpetual motion, I guess, or flux, as I said. As of right now, there's been a cessation of hostilities, at least between Israel and Iran, and that's a good thing. We are in a state of ceasefire that Trump has brokered, and all credit to President Trump. But I want to get to something that I found really curious. Maybe somebody can explain this to me. I was listening to the boys on the Duran this morning. I didn't hear them talk about this, and I listened to some other commentators. But Trump, I don't know what you would call it. It's not a tweet because he's not on Twitter, I don't think. He's on his own social media platform, this Truth Social. I don't know what you call them, tweets or posts or whatever. But as you know, we had the cessation of hostilities. We had the ceasefire. And then, shortly after that, the ceasefire only lasted a while before Iran and Israel went at it again, but I think it stopped once again. But as you know, we were told that Iran launched a series of missile strikes toward the nation of Qatar, or Qatar, Q-A-T-A-R, however you want to pronounce it. I believe they launched 14 missiles, if I'm not mistaken, toward Qatar. But I want you to notice what Trump posted on Truth Social yesterday, Monday. He said, I want, and this is a quote. Well, let me give you this is from CBS News, take it for whatever it's worth. And they write on their website, President Trump said Monday that the Iranian government offered early notice about a series of missile strikes that targeted the U.S. Al-Udeid Air Base in Qatar, downplaying Iran's response to the U.S. bombing of 3 Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend as very weak. Now, here's what Trump said, and I quote, I want to thank Iran for giving us early notice, which made it possible for no lives to be lost and nobody to be injured, unquote, President Trump wrote in a Truth Social post. Does that strike anybody as weird besides me? Is that odd? I'm going to attack your country, or I'm going to attack your assets in another country, but before I do that, I'm going to give you a courtesy call? Is this common practice? Aren't most attacks kind of like sneak attacks? Now, I realize when George Bush attacked Iraq, he gave notice. You need some hours notice. You need to get out now. Something's about to happen. You need to get out now. Or it may have been Kuwait when we went into Kuwait in '91 in the first Gulf War. That I understand. I mean, it's not like you can always hide such massive military operations. But it just seems odd to me that Iran tipped us off that, hey, we're about to attack you. That's kind of strange. I don't know what to make of that, but they did. And from everything that I've read and heard, the 14 missile attack was largely uneventful. As a matter of fact, I've heard, and believe what you will, this is why you've got to consult with multiple sources, folks, so you can get to the truth. But from what I've been able to gather, we were able to repel 13 of the 14 missiles, and the 14th didn't do that much damage. Now, after this, Iran, as you just heard the president say, unloaded a barrage of missiles. Apparently, Israel unloaded a barrage of missiles in Iran, which is what got Trump hot at Israel again, because he had just brokered this ceasefire, and I guess they wanted one last thrill ride before they stopped. I don't know. Now, what's going to happen from this point forward, I don't know. As I shoot this video, we have a ceasefire, and there are no missiles being launched between the two countries, and that is a good thing. Tip of the hat to all parties involved. Let's stop warring. We got enough of that over there. I've been watching earlier this afternoon an interview that Theo Vaughn did with Representative Thomas Massie, which I highly recommend. It's on YouTube. If you don't know who Theo Vaughn is a probably a 30-something-year-old comedian who has a very popular podcast. He's right up there almost with Joe Rogan in popularity. And he's doing a 2-hour sit-down interview with Thomas Massie. Very good, very enlightening, and I really recommend it to you. One of the things they were talking about in this interview is the influence of lobbyists, particularly foreign lobbies, on U.S. political candidates. And Massie told Theo Vaughn the Israel lobby dwarfs any other lobby of anybody by far. And they have donated millions and millions of dollars to American politicians. I don't want to go back over this again. You know my thoughts about this. And Massie is just pointing out the obvious absurdity and the hypocrisy of American politicians ostensibly being in the pockets or having foreign lobbies in their pockets so that they can do their bidding. It's just outrageous, folks. And Theo Vaughn was absolutely was in disbelief. He had no idea. He's like, how can this be? And Theo Von, he doesn't always impress you as being a real intellectual, I will say. He's just kind of he's a comedian, right? Comedy is a vulgar art form, basically, as the late George Carlin said, and he's right. It's the art of the people. But he asked a very great question of Thomas Massie, and this is the question to be asked. He said, well, what do we get out of this? That is the question. Now, if you have your own financial investments, before you invest money in the stock market or in a corporation or in any financial vehicle, maybe you have a broker or you have an investment counselor, and you invest your funds in particular accounts, or perhaps you're invested in real estate or what have you, business startups. But if you're going to give a certain amount of money or allocate a certain amount of your money to investments, the question you're going to ask is, what is going to be my ROI, my return on investment? How much am I going to, what do I get out of this investment? You've got a company, a startup company, and you come to me for capital, and you say, I want you to invest in my company. And I would, if I'm smart about it, I would say, well, show me your business plan, your business model, tell me about your product, how you're going to market it, how you're going to manufacture it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because before I commit any money to you, I got to know something about your company, something about you, what you're going to do, what goods and services you're going to provide. That's just common sense, right? I mean, if you invest in the stock market, I am not good at the stock market, but if you're going to do that, you're going to want to find. By the way, the stock market is a young man's game. Never forget that. The stock market is for young people, not old people. And I know that much about it, because stock market is something where you invest in your 20s and then you forget about it. You just let it grow because it's going to do this over the life of your career. But anyway, you got to trust people who know what they're doing. And the question you as an investor must ask is, what am I getting for my investment? And this is the question every American should be asking with regard to Israel, because it is the taxpayer money that is being sent to Israel in sums that dwarf any money that we send to any other nation. And Theo Von simply asked Thomas Massie, well, what do we get for this? Thomas Massie didn't have an answer in terms of, well, here's what we get, because we don't get anything. We get nothing in return. All they do is take from us and make war all over the Middle East and destabilize the whole area. Let me pause this real quick because I had a tab pulled up. I want to share some information with you. Let me find it. I'll be right back. This is what I wanted to notice. With regard to the war which Israel is still involved in on the Palestinians in Gaza, as of the 18th of June, just last week, they have killed over 57,800 people, and 1,706 of them were Israelis. And they have been reported as killed in the Gaza war, as well as 180 journalists and media workers, 120 academics, and over 224 humanitarian aid workers, a number that includes 179 employees of UNRWA. Scholars have estimated that 80% of Palestinians killed are civilians. One study verified fatalities from 3 independent sources found out that 70% of the Palestinians killed in residential buildings or similar housings were women and children. That's what Israel has done. They bomb hospitals, they bomb churches, and so many Christians in America just don't give a damn. Their Christian brethren are being murdered by the Israelis, and they just don't care. And we all know why. I've covered that ad nauseum on this channel. And we continue to give Israel money. So Theo was asking the the proper question of Thomas Massie, and it coincides with the statistic I referred to the other day. I wish I had pulled it up before I started filming, which that the affection that so many Americans feel for Israel is basically of Americans of baby boomer age and older. Fewer and fewer and fewer Americans age 50 and under could give two hoots about Israel, and that's a good trend, because our affection needs to be for our homeland if we're Americans, and let these other nations take care of their own business. Now, I want to get to, before I get to something else, let me insert this. One of the things that I was hot about in yesterday's video was the fact that Donald Trump, and he had posted this on Truth Social, Donald Trump had ostensibly come out in favor of regime change in Iran, and he posted MIGA, Make Iran Great Again, and he was all for regime change in Iran. Well, he has quickly seen the light on the futility of regime change in Iran. And again, I'm not saying there shouldn't be regime change in Iran. There should be. I absolutely agree. There should be regime change in Iran by Iranians. Okay, but he has changed his tune now. He has completely, in one day, he has reversed course, and he is now opposed to regime change in Iran. You know, I love Donald Trump. I voted for Donald Trump. I generally support Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is, he is often flighty. He often does this. He will often change his tune in midstream. He will say things today that are the exact opposite of what he said yesterday or last week or last month or last year. That's not the way a president should be, folks. A president should be a person who says what he believes, and that should be in cement. That shouldn't change. Now, I realize times may change, circumstances may change, which force him to change his position. I understand that. But when you're changing in the span of 24 hours from Iran needs regime change, make Iran great again, to we don't need regime change because it would bring, he said, nothing but chaos. And he's right. Today he's right. Trump yesterday was wrong. Trump today is right. Do you see how it makes you want to pull your hair out? Because which Trump are we to believe? But what he's saying now is right, so I applaud him, and I hope he won't change his tune again. Now, one of the things that got me so upset yesterday, and I apologize, I kind of got a little over the top, a little heated. Before I get to that, this is live, real life, folks. I've got this list of headlines in front of me off camera that you can't see, and the headlines are constantly updated. I got a real problem with this neocon nutcase radio host named Mark Levin, as many of you know. I can't stand the guy. I'll be honest. Mark Levin. This is how he talks. Mark Levin. He is a Israel first neocon extraordinaire. And he has a real problem with Marjorie Taylor-Greene, a wonderful congressional representative from Georgia, who is saying all the right things. She is absolutely opposed to our getting involved in any of these wars in the Middle East. And she and Mark Levin have been going at it back and forth. And this is what he said. He tweeted this on X, on Twitter. He tweeted this morning to Marjorie Taylor-Greene, a member of Congress, at 10:25. I'm sorry, last night he tweeted this at 10:25. And I quote, Marjorie Taylor-Greene, God, you are stupid, and you keep banging your head against the wall. Thankfully, the president ignored you and hit the Iranian nuclear sites. You seem very upset about it. I'm not going away. You're on my radar, unquote. Wow. Does anybody think that sounds a little threatening? Does anybody think that sounds a little like a little over the top? Like he's actually threatening her, this big bully of a man? Neocon is actually threatening this woman? I'm not going away. You're on my radar. What if you said that about the President of the United States? Do you think you might get a little phone call at least? This is reckless and irresponsible. Scott Ritter replied to Mark Levin. I love Scott Ritter. He's the one who showed that George Bush told us some bad info when he said that Iraq had WMD, and Scott Ritter said, yeah, no, they don't. And he would know. He's a weapons inspector. He said, hey, Mark, you're on my radar, and I'm not going away. And another person said of Mark Levin, who is on Fox News, Mark Levin, you need to be fired from Fox News. You literally oppose the Iran-Israel ceasefire. Your war obsession is dangerous, and it is. Mark Levin is one of the few people who is actually upset that there's a ceasefire. He is actually upset that the shooting has stopped, the bomb dropping has stopped. That's the last thing Mark Levin wanted to hear, as well as people like Lindsey McCain-Graham and these neocons in the Congress. Mark Levin didn't want it to stop. He wanted it to keep going. What is with these people who they just froth at the mouth for war? They just don't know what to do with themselves. John McCain was the same way. As you know, something else Massie educated Theo Vaughn about, how we disabled or disrupted or overthrew our CIA, overthrew the government of Ukraine in 2014 under the presidency of Obama. We toppled their leader and installed our own leadership, kind to America in Ukraine, and that started the ball rolling. And you may well remember images of John McCain, the late John McCain, and his faithful ward, Lindsey McCain-Graham, over in Kiev, just applauding the people responsible for the overthrow of the legitimate, duly elected government of Ukraine in 2014. I don't want to get too sidetracked into that, but that is Mark Levin's ilk. He's upset that there's no war. He's upset that there's been a ceasefire. He doesn't want a ceasefire. Now, as I started to say, one of the things I really got upset about was Donald Trump, President Trump's attack on Thomas Massie. To reiterate from yesterday, Thomas Massie is a good man. He is a congressman from the 4th District in Kentucky. He is absolutely faithful to the Constitution. He is preoccupied with our $37 trillion debt and our reckless government spending. He is honest. He refuses money from any lobby, including Israel, which is why he's so unpopular among the ruling class and the political class. You can't bribe him. He is principled. He loves God. He is a good Christian man. Just lost his wife last year, but he's still going at it. And he is quick to tell us all about the corruption in Congress. He's just a good man. And Donald Trump, as you know, attacked Thomas Massie over the weekend, saying that he was going to put somebody else in that district to run against Tom. He called him all kinds of names, loser and a bum. It's just unbelievable. That's what got me so hot yesterday. And Donald Trump said, I'll be going to the 4th District personally to campaign to get this man out of office. This is something I actually relish. I don't really want to see the President of the United States, this president anyway, embarrassed. But if he follows through with this, he is going to be, because Thomas Massie will be reelected next year to office, I predict, because his constituents love him, folks. This is so irresponsible and reckless of Donald Trump. This goes against everything Ronald Reagan ever said. You don't go against a Republican. Hey, you know, he's on our bench. He's on our team. He is a Republican. He is he is a fiscal conservative, an anti-war conservative. He is an America First representative who wants us to live within our means and balance our budget, lower our taxes, and reduce our obligations overseas and reduce the American footprint overseas and stop all of our military expansion. That's a good thing. That's a great thing. And for this, Trump attacks him. Why? Because Massie will not support the big, beautiful bill, which basically gives us even more of a bloated government, folks. It does nothing to reduce our deficits and our debt. What happens in these bills, I'm telling you, it's like an omnibus. They'll insert so much pork in these bills, and then they'll insert something really good, or it sounds really good. It'll be like a pay raise for members of the military. They'll make it this big fat bill that is 99% of it is horrible. And then you'll have somebody like Thomas Massie who will say there's no way I can support this bill. And then all of his opponents will start slamming him, saying, look at Thomas Massie, he opposes pay raises for the military. That's how this works. And it's absurd. It's ridiculous. And he's saying, and he's telling Theo Von, and he says, I've been saying this myself, break these things up into smaller bills. Let's vote just on this component. Don't give me a big, beautiful bill that I have to read within a day or two of having to vote on it. Break this stuff up. Let's have a bill about pay raises for the military. Let's have a bill about tax cuts. Let's have a bill about this, a bill about that. Don't lump it all together, because there's some things in this bill I will support. There's other things that I cannot support. That's what he's saying. That's what's going on with the big, beautiful bill. But what I wanted to read for you is word for word what Donald Trump said of Thomas Massie. Listen, pay close attention. This is Donald Trump on Twitter, May 10th, 2022. Just 3 years ago. Listen at this, I quote, endorsement of Congressman Thomas Massie. Congress Thomas Massie is a conservative warrior for Kentucky's 4th Congressional District, exclamation point. An MIT graduate and a first-rate defender of the Constitution, Thomas fights hard to protect your liberties, especially the First and Second Amendments, which are under siege by the radical left. Strong on the border and our military and vets, Thomas Massie has my complete and total endorsement, exclamation point, unquote. That is Donald Trump endorsing Thomas Massie 3 years ago. And you know what? Every single thing that Donald Trump said about Thomas Massie in that endorsement is true. None of it has changed. You know what has changed? Donald Trump. This Thomas Massie is the same man. He still believes the same things. He still has the same convictions. He still defends the Constitution. He still protects our liberties, especially the First and Second Amendments. He still is strong on the border. He is still strong on the military and strong on veterans. None of that has changed. So, Mr. President, why the attack? Thomas Massie didn't change, but you have. And you have because you got pissed off because he won't support your big, beautiful bill. And you see him as an obstructionist. The better course of action, Mr. President, would be to call Thomas Massie to the Oval and sit down with him and listen to his side of the story, because you might learn a thing or two from this good man from Kentucky. But instead you attack him, you call him a bum and a loser and other names. You should not have done that. That is uncalled for. It's unprofessional. It's unbecoming a president of the United States to go after a member of his own party like this. This ain't Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, okay? This ain't Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. This ain't John Cornyn of Texas. or Chuck Schumer or Bernie Sanders or Gavin Newsom. This is a good and decent, small government, limited government man who could be your greatest ally. But you got to stop the name calling. It's as simple as that. And I've got to stop this because I'm out of breath. I've been taking some steps. I got my big bulky boot on. Later, it is so hot. My goodness, we're in the 90s here. But later this afternoon, after it cools down, after the sun sets, I'm going to, we got a rather long driveway, but I'm going to go outside with the trash, and I'm going to try and hobble down to the road and take the trash to the trash can. I'll have my phone with me in case something happens and I need intervention of some kind. But I'm really not in any pain, so I think things are going fairly well, even though this big bulky boot is not comfortable, but it does enable me to take a few steps, which the doctor wants me to do. Okay, look, give me your comments down below, everybody. I really love hearing from all of you. Thank you for the emails that you're sending, the buy me a coffee, all that. I really thank you so much for that. Make sure to like the video, comment down below. Love hearing from you. Go have a great evening or morning or afternoon or whenever you're seeing this, and I will see you very soon.